Hello and welcome back to Swinging at Shins. Normally a Premier League podcast, but we're going to start off with a little U.S. soccer news. I am Rhett Conway, and I'm joined, as always, by Aaron. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Villa came back and pulled a draw, so I can be a little bit happy about that.
I'm going to say Villa came back and pulled a draw, and Crystal Palace just got annihilated by Spurs, which doesn't make anyone happy, but it does put Villa into 11th, so life is not that bad.
No, we moved up on a draw.
Anyway, talking about non-Premier League stuff real quick. Things have gotten spicy in U.S. men's national team land.
Spicy.
Out of nowhere, at least to my knowledge, I did not hear any rumblings about this. Out of nowhere, the U.S. men's national team releases a statement stating that things have come to light about Greg Berhalter and that someone else will be coaching the team in January until further notice. And that was it was a very long, wordy type of account, but that's essentially that was the gist of it. It came out, at least I got it while I was trying to watch the Arsenal Newcastle match, so my mind was half elsewhere. But what the heck's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, what did you think was happening? I'm just curious. We're gonna get more into it, but what did you think was happening?
I don't really maybe something with locker abuse. Like in-house locker abuse or something like that. I didn't really think it was.
I thought for sure it was just gonna be comments or a Twitter feed, a Twitter something from years ago. But it's not that.
No.
He has a domestic violence charge against him.
Yes, he does.
The domestic violence charge was from before at least I was born. Might be before you were born because it happened in 1991.
It depends on the month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, not 100% sure if that had come to light or not before he was hired. And I'm not trying to say that domestic violence is something that should be taken lightly. However, if I remember it correctly from his statement, it was something that happened. Let's see. Let me get into it. He said, "There are zero excuses for my actions that night. It was a shameful moment, one I regret to this day. At the time, I immediately apologized to Rosalind, but understandably, she wanted nothing to do with me. I told my parents. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I heard kicking was involved. He was a freshman in college. I believe right now, is this the woman he's married to?
Yeah, but I can't be certain either. I haven't really.
Yep, Rosalind Berhalter. He's currently married to her. So this happened in 91. They're currently married. I'm not saying he is absolved of all sin, but come on. And then everyone goes, "Oh, we heard this was blackmail. Oh, someone was trying to get into us. Oh, look at when it happened." And I'm like, guys, come on. We don't need to do this. And then people were going, "Oh, I bet it was the Reynas. The Reynas did this. I guarantee you that's who it was." Oh, guys, no. In a statement to Fox Sports, Gio Reyna's mom, Danielle, says she reported the 1991 domestic violence incident involving the U.S. men's national team Coach Berhalter to the USSF sporting director, Arnie Stewart, after Berhalter's post-World Cup comments on Gio. He didn't even use his name. When he said those comments, he didn't even use his name, and your reaction to that is to snitch. This is crazy to me.
Yeah. It sounds like maybe Gio cried to his mommy a little bit. I mean, I hope not.
I think it was more Claudio telling his wife to do this. But now the reason why I brought all this up, I'm not a gossip guy. I don't love this crap. The reason why I brought all this up was because this is the underbelly of American soccer. It is cutthroat like this.
Yep.
Why did they even have that? Who has that information? And they were sitting on it until they used it either in revenge or in a way that they thought that they could get some kind of advantage.
Yeah.
So when I complain about how American soccer is run, a lot of this is the issue. What are we even doing? I guess thank God it happened post World Cup.
Oh my God. It could have been out of this world if it actually happened during the World Cup. I don't think we would have gotten out of the group stages. I think
Absolutely not.
it would have
Absolutely
been
not.
an S storm the whole entire way.
All right, so let's assume that the USSF, which is the United States Soccer Federation, let's assume that they are going to do exactly during the World Cup what they just did, which is suspend him, which is a big if, I understand. I don't love Berhalter's tactics, but if the manager is suddenly getting blackmailed out of his position during the World Cup, we're not doing anything.
No.
Anyway, until this crap gets fixed, we're never going to do anything. It's the way you get ahead in American soccer is by having this kind of information and using it. And until we fix that, we're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's too dirty.
That is my piece on the Gio Reyna thing. The only other non-Premier League soccer thing I want to touch on real quick is Ronaldo came out at Al Nassr last night. So 2 nights ago when you're listening to this, if you listen to it on release day. And it looked like a FIFA Ultimate Team pack opening. It was crazy. It was like an honor guard. It was more of an honor guard than Messi got. Messi just won the World Cup. There were fireworks. He came out. He got handed stuff. The whole 9 yards. No one remembered that he has to serve a 2-match ban for beating up that phone in Everton.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't play tomorrow. And I think that's absolutely hilarious.
Good, because I'm so tired of it. I am so tired of the Ronaldo thing.
Let this be the last time we talk about Ronaldo on this channel.
Damale.
Anyway, match day 18 and most of match day 19 we have for you guys.
Yep.
Arsenal has managed to gain and then probably lose back the same ground in 2 days. But with the schedule, that's where we're at. Man City with a inexplicable draw against Everton.
Clunker.
Leicester look lost. Liverpool look almost as lost as Leicester do.
Yeah. Well, that could be Leicester's saving grace.
Newcastle has now had 2 straight scoreless draws. And Chelsea is a big oof.
Yep.
So we got a lot in store for you guys in this episode that we are now starting about 8 minutes into it. You have written in the notes, any surprises this match week? Tons. What do you think was the most surprising thing? And I bet it's the same thing as mine.
Everton and City. It's got to be, right?
What happened? What happened?
I don't know.
It's Man City at the Etihad. It's Everton, who I still think's going down.
I mean, they're in relegation as of right now.
As of right now, they're in the relegation zone.
I couldn't. It was just one of those weird things where City pushed everybody forward and really fast forward, and Damari Gray happened to be there and push it up. And by the way, that shot was ridiculous. To be able to collect himself after he slipped and then put it in where nobody else be able to save it.
I absolutely agree with that. The way he collected himself, the way he placed it, the way he did everything. Here's my thing. How did no one challenge him?
I don't. There wasn't anybody with his...
stood up, looked at the goal, looked around, went, well, if no one wants to attack me, and then kicked it.
Had a sip of tea.
I have no idea how he was that wide open.
Nope.
And I think Man City just had a little bit of lads at Everton. You know, they didn't think that they were going to lose that. And, I mean, they didn't lose. They didn't think they were going to draw. They didn't think they were going to let up a goal. That was, I think for me, that was the best goal of the season so far. That's like a single, like, completely solo goal.
Yeah.
You can't save it. You cannot save that.
Maybe the 6'8" guy from the Netherlands could, but just period off a height.
Anyway, also looking into your notes, Holland, I'm reading this verbatim. Holland only scored 1 goal this match. What did Everton do to stop Holland? He scored a goal. They didn't stop him. I think it's that simple. It is that simple.
it's a goal versus what we all thought was going to be like 3 goals. Giving up a goal to Haaland is a win. I mean, clearly it's a win for Everton. They just drew.
I think Haaland came out a little spicy. He had that awful challenge that led to the yellow.
Yeah.
That was a yellow.
Yeah.
People were arguing that. I don't know. That was crazy to me. That was 100% a yellow.
I think the best way to beat Haaland, air quotes for listeners, is to get physical with him. You need that goon to get in his head. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's going to work 100% because he still scored a goal and he's still going to push you around as well. But it obviously only led to 1 goal and a yellow.
I was going to say it is difficult to get physical with him when he plays the way he does.
Yep.
He's like the biggest guy on the pitch.
Easily.
And again, I just think 1 goal isn't enough to say that you stopped him because you didn't. But it was enough for Everton. Points dropped. Absolutely loved it.
Yep.
This was the same day. If I go back, this is all New Year's Eve. Newcastle leads, scoreless draw. Everyone thought ton of goals there.
Yep.
And NBC did Robbie Mustoe really dirty because in the highlights they kept his tactical breakdown when the lineups came out.
Oof.
When he was explaining why Newcastle was going to score so many goals. I don't know why they include it in the highlights. They never do.
I saw that and I was like, what is going on? Why do I need this?
Yep. Apart from that, Fulham look like the real deal still. They just keep winning. They're doing enough.
Just picking
up. At this
point,
they're 7th. They're a point above Brighton. They look great.
A top 10 team. They have done all the right things from falling out into the championship last year to coming back. You know, they've rebuilt that team. They went for the players that they need and have done well.
Also, one thing I think that they did that was very smart is Everton got rid of Marco Silva and Fulham picked him up. And Everton are in the relegation zone and Fulham's in 7th. So not the smartest move, Everton. Arsenal beat Brighton 4-2. If you want to hear more about that, I just got done doing a Way West End episode with Brian. That'll be over on the WikiGood Sports channel. Links in the description. Crystal Palace got a 2-0 win over Bournemouth. A little bit surprising for me. I thought Bournemouth was... I didn't think they were a great team. I think it's more surprising now, knowing how Tottenham just slapped Crystal Palace, that Crystal Palace looked as good as they did that match.
I think we forget that Tottenham is still good and that Bournemouth is not Tottenham. And Bournemouth had... There was opportunities Bournemouth had, and I think that I don't know if Anthony played that game or not. No, it was yes, he did. Just kidding, but he got subbed off at the 80th minute. My problem is Solanke. Dominic Solanke is bad. Do not start him ever. Put Kiefer Moore up top. Put I don't know. I can't remember who they put out with today. Or the game in match day 19, but it looked so much better. It looked more cohesive than it did with Solanke out there.
I agree. I don't know. I haven't put a ton of time into the Bournemouth team, to be honest, quite frankly, because after the way they started the season, I didn't think they were going to be here next year.
I still might not.
Now I think they will, but again, I think it's just going to be because there's that many bad teams. You know, people are talking about Leeds and is Leeds going to survive, or Leicester, is Leicester going to survive? And I think the answer is yes, but not because they're going to do well, because there are just so many worse teams.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the not good stuff for Spurs Day. Let's go back to New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
A game that I think you and I loved equally.
Yes, we did.
Aston Villa 2, Spurs 0 in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yep. North London is claret, as
North
Colin
London
Chambers
still,
put it.
it's still red. Still red.
It's claret.
Miss you, Chambers. Okay,
All
you
right.
guys lost at the Emirates. You don't own North London. I'm just saying.
We just own that little spot. That's all.
You can own, north of us. That's fine.
Overall, that game was a little nervy, but they collected themselves after the first 10 minutes or so. And then, went in halftime 0-0 and, scored 2 goals. And Tottenham has given up 2 goals in the last 5 out of 6 matches, 6 out of 7.
True until the Crystal Palace match that just ended, but yes.
But no, this game
they let in goals early, not early necessarily, but they let in goals first.
Yes,
and that's a problem. Again, they look like they turned it around today against
Crystal
Palace, but against Villa, and of course this is a problem game because right now we still don't know how good Villa is.
They're 11th. That's good, right?
I mean, yes, and that definitely is good. And I am not harping on Villa, but we just got done saying how many just really bad teams are right now. I think, but Villa is a very different team in the second half of this first half of the season than they were in the first half of the season.
Gee,
you don't have Gerrard gone, and it was a very good manager change.
Yes.
We didn't have a chance to talk about it because the show wasn't up. I think you talked about it a lot in the Villa. I
did, yeah.
You guys are so lucky to get Unai Emery.
Oh, God. I think we would have been relegated if it was anybody else.
I mean, I honestly, if you guys had gotten Lopetegui, I think that you would have done very well with him too. I think he's a very good manager. But Villa is like the perfect squad for Emery. It's the perfect team. They sit right in his comfort zone.
Yep.
It's not too big like PSG or Arsenal, but it's not small. Club with history, club that's done well. And it's Unai Emery, and you guys got Villa in your name, so Europa League champions 2026. I think they're a good team. So everyone's going to look at this in a vacuum. And again, people love to say that there's this huge thing between the big six and everyone else. Chelsea's 10th right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell where Spurs are, because you and I want to say Spurs is in trouble. Conte's going to be out. Look at all these horrible things. And I know pundits are starting to really get down on Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this loss to Villa, and it's like, oh, look at Spurs and Villa. Look at what's going on with this. They just lost at home to Villa. Who does that? And it's like, okay, but how good of a team is Villa? And I think Villa is a better team than people are accepting that don't watch them, every match.
Yeah.
The 1-1 draw to Wolves isn't going to necessarily strengthen that point. But again, I have been saying all year that I think Wolves is a better team than their record shows, and I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think Lopetegui is a very good manager. So my logic still holds. Wolves are just also a team on the up. Villa's biggest problem is you guys, this is for me, you guys just cannot consistently score enough at all.
Or like in this particular instance with the Wolves game, it was one bad half, one good half. And that has always been something that has been a problem in the mindsets of Villa players, is that let's sleepwalk through the first half and, oh, right, we were in a soccer game.
Looking at expected goals, and FotMob may have had a bit of a delay with their stats. I did not have a chance to watch this game, but in the 70th, 72nd minute, I was looking at it. Expected goals at the time were 0.7 to Wolves, and it was 0.34 to Villa. It was bad. It was very bad. It ended up 1.61 to 0.85 in favor of Villa. Did you think that the last 25 plus minutes of that match, you guys had an expected goals worth of chances?
Yes. I mean, the Danny Ings and the Mings to Danny Ings goal was kind of out of nowhere. It was one of those direct balls. But even after that, there was a number of opportunities where Bailey had an opportunity, where Coutinho could have had opportunities, and Augustinson even had an opportunity to rip it on goal, and it could have been 2-1 right there. A 1-1 at that point. But it was a great save off the line by, I don't know, one of the Wolves. Kilman? I think it was Kilman. It happens. Like, sometimes XG isn't always right, but I think they deserved at least a goal in that match. I don't think they deserved much after that. The fact that they got a draw it stands true.
Tyrone Mings is the FOTMOB player of the match with an even 8 rating. Again, he did it again. We were talking about him last time, and he's inconsistent. He doesn't seem to be good. We talked about maybe having not Konza next to him. He had Konza again. Things worked out. I do wonder how much of that was a Wolves attack that right now is still finding its feet. So it's very easy for him to potentially look good.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see. But moving forward, deserve a draw. That happened tonight. We're kind of jumping back and forth on match week, guys. Just trying to keep up. Don't know what to tell you. We're going to be all over the place.
Have fun.
I want to go back to, with this congestion, it's awful. You know, you play on a Saturday, you play on a Tuesday.
They threw the World Cup at us again, practically.
Yeah, it feels like it. And then no one plays this weekend except for all the FA matches.
Yeah.
So, anyway, going back to the Liverpool-Leicester match, 2-1. Liverpool win. Didn't even score a goal.
Nope. Didn't have to.
And the reason why I want to get into that is we're going to look into stats. You brought this up first, and I think it's a very good point. Darwin Nunez and Mo Salah are number 1 and number 2 in big chances missed this season.
Good players.
As of right now, Darwin Nunez has 15 chances missed. Mohamed Salah has 12.
Mm-hmm.
Klopp has nothing but praise for Darwin Nunez.
I mean, he's comparing him to Haaland right now. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, Lewandowski.
Sorry.
Maybe back when Lewandowski was a very young guy in Borussia Dortmund, Klopp would know better than me.
Yep.
You know, we have the ability to look at everything Louis done. And Darwin Nunez right now just seems very far away from that.
Yeah. Well,
talk about not having those killer instincts, at least right now. He's shooting wide across the face of goal.
I think a lot has to do with we forget that players are humans too. Now, he moved from Portugal to England. Kind of different, climates and everything here. Not far off, but kind of. He had to find a new home or an apartment to live with people. He now has to get adjusted to his new teammates. He has to get adjusted to a new coach, new scheme. I think these, mentally, I think he's got talent. I think it's the mental part he needs to put together now.
I could see it. I mean, he's definitely talented. Liverpool doesn't really make mistakes with transfers.
No.
So going out and getting him, again, there's a lot of money in my eyes, but I agree with everything you're saying. There was talk about him not understanding Klopp in the beginning and anything he was saying. You got a German trying to speak English to a Uruguayan who is just in Portugal. I can totally see how there's issues with that.
Yeah.
That being said, and this is something that I did think was interesting, my answer to the stat And this is probably because of the whole Gabriel Jesus thing. So everyone talked about Gabriel Jesus missed big chances, but it's like, okay, he was on Man City. He was going to miss a lot of chances because he's going to get a lot of chances.
Mm-hmm.
I could not find anywhere, and if anyone listening to this has the information, put it in the comment section. There's a Q&A thing in Spotify. Just find a way to get me this because I couldn't find it. How many big chances or big chance opportunities have you had?
Oh.
Now we know Nunez isn't putting them away, but he's not 0 for 15 either.
No.
So I did the next best thing I could think of, and I went back and I looked at the big chances missed from the 2021-2022 season.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Harry Kane. Number 2, Heung-min Son. Number 3, Mo Salah. And number 4, Diogo Jota. Two players, each on two very high attacking good teams last year. The interesting thing is the numbers. The most big chances missed that happened last year was Harry Kane at 18. People love to keep reminding me, because Arsenal's top of the league, not even halfway through the season, although we're damn close at this point. And he already has 15. So not looking good.
No.
Definitely seems to be missing a lot.
He might just need an interpreter. Maybe he needs a Uruguayan friend.
I think what we're talking about is the wrong half of Liverpool, though. The Liverpool issue is not their top half. It's their bottom half. Virgil van Dijk looked dire.
Well.
Awful in the match against, And it turns out now it looks like a hamstring issue.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time in years, VVD came off the field and Liverpool's defense got better.
Who'd they put in? Joe Gomez? That'd be my guess.
No. Give me just a second. I will pull it up because it was not them. By the way, we have jumped to the 3-1 Brentford loss.
Yep.
Joel Matip.
Oh, Matip.
Also, Andrew Robertson was on the bench, and him coming on was probably a big reason why they got better.
Okay, probably. I'm going to say probably, but I don't think he should start currently. He's getting older. I think it's the age is starting to catch up a little bit. He's 34.
No, you're thinking of Milner.
Milner's like 104.
Andrew Robertson is 28.
You know who I'm thinking of? Henderson.
Oh. Yes, Henderson is also getting older. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain started and scored in this match. So blast from the past. I mean, I saw him and it was just one of those, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Anyway, Liverpool's defense. The most big chances faced. I found this. Leeds, 55. Kind of makes sense. I mean, they're a desperate way of defending. Surprisingly, Fulham at 54. For a team playing as well as them, that's very surprising.
They're hiding it really, really well.
I will say this. As a pure shot stopper, Bernd Leno is a very good goalkeeper. The things that Bernd Leno lacks is like almost everything else. Especially corners. And again, I will say this, just when we beat Fulham earlier this season on a Bernd Leno mistake on a corner, it was probably it was up there with Liverpool as like the most cathartic wins for me. Because I had watched it the opposite way so many times.
Yeah.
It was so nice to benefit from it. Anyway, and then Liverpool, 51 in third. The next team is Nottingham Forest with 10 less. 10 less.
So I think that's due to the fact that those top three teams you just read off, Leeds, Fulham, and Liverpool, all those guys run really high lines on their defensive end. So if you get somebody who's a winger, an inverted winger, who's gonna, time that run just right, they're gonna have all that space in between to have that ability to run in on goal. I think there's some of that in play. I'm sure it's not all of it.
Counter argument to that. Arsenal play an incredibly high line this year. City usually play a high line. Newcastle has also been doing that. Kieran Trippier, I think, is in the opponent's box as much as he's ever in his own. Newcastle 22, Man City 23, Arsenal 19. I mean, there are times when William Saliba and Big Gabby are like 15 yards inside the opposing team's half.
Mm.
So again, it's that lack of being able to track back. I don't know if VVD has had a hamstring issue for a little while now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's age.
I know. So you just said they track back. Well, kind of some of that is also your midfield. Do you think their midfield?
Which Liverpool don't have. Yes, their midfield is definitely part of their problem.
Because I think their defense is awesome. Like, I think the players individually are awesome. I think the fact that some of these players in their midfield aren't tracking back to cover for the individual players. Not for, but like double teaming. They don't really do any of that.
No, and that's one of the things they did so well. VVD in his prime, he's like, and again, I'm an Arsenal fan, it's about to show. He's like Ray Parlour levels of godlike as a center back. He's so good. He's just not played that way at all. I mean, we've been talking about, Virgil looking lost since like match week 2. I am not 100% sold on Konate. He had an absolute howler against Brentford.
Yep.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, we've talked about defense with him. Everyone's talked about defense with him. I do not think he is a bad defender. I think the reason why everyone talks about defense with him is because as right backs who get as big as he is goes, I think he's the worst defender out of that group.
Yeah.
But we're still talking about a group that's way up here compared to everyone else. So people say, oh, well, he's not better than Kyle Walker because Kyle Walker is such a good defender. It's like, yeah, Kyle Walker is probably the best right back defensively in the league right now. And then you have Kieran Trippier, who's insane, and kind of Trent Alexander-Arnold 2.0. He's a little more physical, a little more defensive, doesn't play up near, as much, but they're both free kick specialists.
Yep.
They're both playing way in the north. They both look really good, I think their other issue is left back. I do not think Joe Gomez is that good.
Joe Gomez shouldn't be playing left back anyway.
Tsimikas has not impressed me. So, and again, you talk about it. Yes, a lot of that's midfield. One thing that Arsenal has had this year and why we've been on such a good run is just how good Thomas Partey has been.
Yeah.
And that's huge. You've had Jota out at not Jota. You've had Jota out. Arthur's out. Milner's out with a hamstring. He's also he is 37.
Yep.
Henderson is out with a concussion. And as much as people can say, oh, he's getting old, Henderson's a rock, dude. He drives me crazy with how good he can play. I don't think everything that's wrong with Liverpool is just injuries, but I do think it's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't think everything that's wrong with Liverpool is Klopp's 7-year run, but you do. This is the third time. The first time's he outgrew minds, right? The second time's Dortmund did their awesome run and Bayern decided never again we're going to buy everybody. I mean, Bayern gutted that Dortmund team. They took their heart, they took their kidneys, they took their liver, they took everybody.
All for free, practically.
Oh, yeah, that was the worst part. But now it's the third time that it's 7 years on. maybe it's just the way Klopp plays his players. It's that heavy metal football. They were going for the quad last year. We were going to be the first team that did it. And you know what? They almost did.
Yep.
They were a point outside of the Premier League. If a certain match goes a different way at the end of the year, they win that. They were in the Champions League final. They literally almost did it. This is a fantastic team. But I do wonder if the way Klopp plays is just
grinding.
Yeah, it just sucks it out of you, and teams can take 7 years at a time of it.
So, who do you think from Liverpool 2.0 or 0.5, meaning Southampton, are they going to take from? Liverpool's academy squad.
It's Southampton. They're going down.
Oh, yeah, well.
We're talking about what their issues are. I think it's a very obvious person who they take.
Salisu.
No.
What?
I would take him too, sure.
Yeah.
We talked about him last time on the pod.
Oh,
James Ward-Prowse needs to find a home.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better home for him right now.
Oh, my God.
Than having Dodi Gakpo streaking on the left, Mo Salah streaking on the right, and Darwin Nunez in the middle. It doesn't fix their defensive midfield problems.
Not really.
But yeah, that's where I would. I'd put him in an Arsenal jersey. I've loved James Ward-Prowse forever. But I really think that, you're talking about where's he going to go. That's where I'd put him.
Fair enough.
All right. Who else do we have to talk about? I know plenty of stuff's happened.
So I think we should go back to 18 and talk about Chelsea and not.
Oh, Forest. Chelsea and Forest. You're absolutely right. Go for it.
Okay. Well, that game, I really think that Forest was actually hard done. Giving up a goal. I thought they were the better team. Now, it was very unlucky that it came off the crossbar and happened to literally land at Raheem Sterling's foot, but he still had some work to do. He still had to get his knee over the ball and not rocket it 30 yards in the air. So he did his job. But Forest looked competent. They seem to be putting passes together better. They seem to be pushing forward more, putting more crosses into the box, putting whipped crosses in the box with potency. We might be wrong about Forest going down.
I'm beginning to think that we are. One thing I have to say real quick, because the second I said his name, it felt wrong. I said Ray Parler. I meant Tony Adams. I am very sorry. I was 9 when the Invincibles happened, and NBC wasn't showing it in the U.S. yet. I know that they're different people. I knew I was wrong the second I said it. I looked it up. It was Tony Adams I was thinking of. Anyway, I agree with you on Forest. Forest was almost a meme, and that's why we kept bringing it up. How do you get 22 signings and still be awful? And also, they did spend a lot of time in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% convinced that they're out of the relegation zone or that they're not going to get relegated. They are out of the relegation zone.
Correct. Yeah, okay.
By 2 points. So, a match week. That being said, when I look at who's under them, right now, as we stand in match week 18 and 19, West Ham, Everton, and Southampton all look like worse teams to me. And that's also me with my rose-colored glasses on with Wolves. The other thing I will say is we were basing this off a Chelsea draw, and Chelsea right now look absolutely dire. They look awful.
Yeah, but that's the time you want to take on a team.
In all caps. True, but my point is, how can we necessarily judge them based on, how can we judge Forest based on what's going on? They have 17 points through 18 matches.
Yeah, that's not great.
And you have a Chelsea team that is still playing Havertz up front. He didn't play well for Germany in the World Cup. He has not played well up front all year.
It's funny because we've seen a ton of transfer, and we haven't really gotten into transfer stuff, which is fine. But Man U has been tied to every striker on the planet. You score a goal, Man U might be interested in you. And it's outstanding to me that Chelsea really haven't been going for strikers. I know they signed maybe one young kid or two young kids. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But they're 20, 21 years old. I don't expect them to be plugged in right away.
Yeah, I agree. Hearing a lot about Enzo Fernandez and them.
God. Apparently they were some people from Chelsea were with Benfica's people, and it was an all-nighter talking about contracts, and they walked away with nothing. That doesn't mean that they're not going to get him. It just means that they couldn't agree to anything.
Yeah, I think Todd Bowley is going to. He's getting himself in trouble. And I think he's getting himself in trouble with the whole Mudryk thing. Because Arsenal were beating Shakhtar down on the price. By the way, I think 60 million's almost too much for Mudryk. I like him. I think he's dynamic. I think he fills a depth hole that we need. But we're not Man City. We don't have an entire state, an entire country behind us. We can't be spending 60 million on depth pieces.
No.
And we were bringing them down with that. And then Chelsea comes in, and now Shakhtar's all the way back up to 88 million. And at that point, have him. He's played 30 matches in the Ukrainian league. I think he's very good. I want him. He wants to come. He was posting about Arsenal on his Instagram the day of the Brighton match.
Mm-hmm.
But if Shakhtar's not going to move, then I'm sorry, dude. There's nothing we can do but wait for a free.
Yep.
Because I'm not paying that much. And now I don't think Todd Bowley's going to end up getting him. He just made an enemy out of Benfica. He's this, and I say this as an American, he's this American businessman who just thinks he can run around with these teams and do all these things. And it's just, that's not how it works. Also, if they did Mudryk and they got Enzo Fernandez, that would be like 800 million euros in a year. Does FIFA care at all about financial fair play?
Plus all the players, all the young kids. I want to say they bought 3 or 4 young kids for no less than 15 million apiece.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. No, I'm on board with that. I'm like, where is this money coming from? 2, how is FIFA not involved with, the whole fair play?
Fair play, yeah. I mean, fair play has always been a joke, right?
Of course.
But okay, you don't want to go after the teams that are backed by countries. Fine. You won't even go after the single businessman who owns a team? Very odd to me.
Unless the way that they work it is, they add-ons and bonuses and blah, blah, blah. Installments.
Looking back at Chelsea, going back to the actual match for a second. 623 passes, 72% possession. They managed 0.9 expected goals.
Not good.
I do have to wonder, though.
What do we want?
Yes, you need an actual striker.
Yeah.
Havertz is not a striker. You should have kept Werner. I think it's that simple. I know. Hindsight's 2020, rose-colored glasses, all those wonderful things. Fofana's out. Loftus-Cheek's out. Reece James is out. And then N'Golo Kante's out. Ben Chilwell is out.
Yep.
That's a very different team. I think Kante and Reece James are just the glue. By the way, Reece James behind Raheem Sterling with the way he inverts and presses.
Not fair.
And then you have Pulisic speed on the left.
Yeah.
And then Mason Mount behind all of them. That covered up the striker hole for a long time. And now it's not because they're injured. And N'Golo Kante really changes how that defense, how that plays. And it's the same thing you see with Arsenal. He's such a good center defensive mid.
Yep.
You can push more midfielders up. We've talked about it. Modern soccer tactics are all about, and it's always been this way, but now more than ever, where do you choose to create your overloads?
Mm-hmm.
The way City plays. They overload the midfield and outside the box because right now Holland could score pretty much any time the ball gets near him, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal plays, we overload inside the box. You know, Chelsea can't really overload anything right now. They don't have the players to do it, and a lot of the players are injured. They don't even need to go buy them. They just need to get healthy.
Yeah, right.
That being said, I love the fact that they're 10th. So, all right, going on because we are 45 minutes into this. Back to match day 19. Match day 19 is probably where we're going to sit for a minute. United beat around Bournemouth. The Casemiro goal was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, so good.
Do not understand why people don't rate him. I've always rated him. He won Champions Leagues galore in Real Madrid. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, God, the guy can ping a ball, too. It's so good.
Yep. Fulham took care of Leicester. It's 1-0. Had not had a chance to look at it. But again, Fulham gets another 3 points. I know you're not their biggest fan, but you're going to have to deal with them next year. It's just that simple.
Hey, they deserve to stay up. I cannot poo-poo on their parade.
Nottingham Forest. That was a 1-0 win they had?
Yeah, they won 1-0.
Yeah, that's why they're all the way up in the 15th.
Hell of a cross by Brendan Johnson to, oh God, I will not be able to pronounce their striker's name. Actually, he didn't play striker that day. He was a winger, but who is it?
Let me see.
Awani. I got it.
Sure.
I'm
That's
not going to go for the first name.
It, but you said that with such conviction. I think you're right.
Well, we'll be told otherwise.
Villa Wolves. We talked earlier. Villa got the draw.
Yep.
Brighton just smashing Everton.
Slapped them.
Yeah, that was. I think Brighton was turning it on. You know, I thought Southampton was hard done in their Brighton match. I said that on here. Brighton was really turning it on. It probably should have been 4-3 against Arsenal. Ended up being 4-2.
If it wasn't for a stud.
Yeah. And he was running away from goal anyway.
Yeah.
But, ended up being 4-2. Probably should have been 4-3. I think Brighton have found their moxie again.
That kid, I know I call him a kid. He's 25 years old, which I guess still makes him younger than me. So I can call him a kid. Mitoma. So good.
Yeah, his name got thrown around after it looked like the Mudryk deal is going to fall apart. I really don't think Brighton's going to move on him in January.
No, but he is a player to be watched for in the summertime. Yep. See where he goes.
He's a player to watch. So, barring any fireworks in the Chelsea-Man City match, which I'm not expecting. I mean, I'm expecting plenty of fireworks all from Man City.
Yeah, right.
But barring any fireworks on both sides, the match of the week is probably the 0-0 draw, Arsenal versus Newcastle. I want to know what you saw.
That game was a very chippy match. What did I write down here? I think that Arsenal just happened to lack that last little bit. It was they played like Arsenal on defense. They played like Arsenal in the midfield, even up to the wingers. It just needed that tap, and that's it. And then they would have won 1-0.
Arteta agrees with you. He said the same thing. He saw a team that performed very well, but just lacked that one last move.
Yeah.
I thought the ref let this match get away from him. And I mean that on both sides. I'm not trying to say that we lost because of the ref, although I think we might have lost because of VAR.
Well,
not lost. Drew. I'm sorry. But the ref definitely let it get away. Newcastle's a very chippy match. What I think is interesting is how Newcastle's set up. They played a 4-4-3, but it was really a 4-5-1. Or, sorry, 4-3-3. God, I got Todd Bowley rubbing off on me. I think I'm 4-4-3's thing. They played a 4-3-3 on paper, but they really played a 4-5-1 for a lot of it. And I know this because Almiron was nowhere to be seen most of the match.
Which is insane.
He was not pushing forward at all. And I think is also something to be said with how good Arsenal's defense is. Yes, Newcastle's defense is amazing. And yes, Arsenal had scored in every Premier League match so far. And all those things are true, but we also have a very good defense, and Newcastle, for a lot of it, got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But they did that because they played defensively. They didn't park the bus like Mourinho would.
No.
But very defensive-minded. They let Arsenal have the lion's share of possession. Arsenal had a ton of possession this match.
67%.
They just had that bend, don't break.
Sometimes you need that.
I think so. Everyone is upset at the end of that match. There were 2 penalty shouts. Actually, there were kind of 3. There wasn't even a replay of the Eddie Nketiah tackle, where I mean American football tackle. There's the big Gabby who got his shirt pulled so hard you couldn't even see any of the logos on the front of his shirt anymore when he went down.
Yep.
I have no idea where VAR was with that.
Nope.
That one's amazing to me. I think that was more of a penalty shout than the handball.
See, I agree with both. And
the
not
handball
just because you're
for
an Arsenal
me,
fan. That was a handball.
The handball for me,
less.
I am so pissed about that. Not because it wasn't given, but because he was told don't even look at it. That's a no. Go look at it. Make sure you agree.
Yeah.
But that's not what they do. VAR is a show. They've said the same thing. Pundits have said it because commentators can hear the VAR traffic.
Yeah.
And they even say this is going to get overturned. Why? Because they're looking at it. Well, okay, aren't they looking at it? Well, yeah, but when they go look at it, that's because they've been told you missed it. Not go give it a second look, which is what we're told VAR is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Hey, you missed it. Go do a show like you're actually looking at it, and I mean, most of the time, it's like 95% of the time, if they go over and look at the screen, it gets overturned. Very few times do they ever look at VAR and come back and say, no, still no pen.
Yeah.
I think he should look at it. I just wanted him to look at it again and then say, no, that's not a pen. That being said, the Gabby thing, that's a penalty. That's always a penalty.
Easy.
I don't understand how that's not a penalty. I think Newcastle did very good in making sure that we never got a goal. In the last 25 minutes, I thought we had it, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressed forward.
I think Arsenal fans should be really, really, really happy with this draw. We should not be happy that we dropped points. However, Newcastle, who's a team in form, came out and played us defensively, which is something that teams have not bothered to do against us for many, many years. And secondly, the way we handled ourselves, the way we performed, the way we tried to find openings, the way we tried new things. Gabriel had an almost goal in the 35th minute.
Mm-hmm.
We did not let a goal in. We did not open ourselves up. We played tactically well. And if not for a bad couple breaks, we probably would have scored. I mean, Gabriel Martinelli had a header that just missed the outside.
Yeah.
It was so close.
Yep.
And this is Newcastle. This is the third best team in the league right now.
Yep. We
did everything right but score. And not only did we do everything right but score, we did it the right way. We had a team play us defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confident. I would be more confident with 3 points and the Man City lost to Chelsea. But you can't have everything that you want. And right now, after having a day to sit on it and think about it, I'm feeling pretty good about where Arsenal is.
I mean, it's hard not to say that when you're top of the league. So,
and that's true. But I mean, we're top of the league.
The way you have been playing to get to be and sustain at the top of the league.
Yep. We have one loss. That one loss was Old Trafford. Even VAR said that the foul that got it called back should not have been a foul. In fairness, long season, everything works out. We probably should have lost to Ellen Road, and we ended up winning that match. So trade a loss for a win, and everything's fine and whatever. I'd rather take the Old Trafford win, but fine. Everyone is still saying it's just a matter of time until City chases them.
Could be. I'm here to
say
the
way we're playing, though, it's not a given anymore.
No, that's fair. I think that there's going to be some work for them. for City.
Anyone who complains about Arsenal if they end up second this year, just
oh my God,
that'll be the best way to know that you started paying attention this year.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting close. We're at 55 minutes. So, who gets in your top four? We've had pretty much two more match days have been played since the last time we talked about this. Who gets in your top four?
I think the top two stay, Arsenal and City. I think Newcastle still stays up there too. I don't see any real problem. And they're going to get Alexander Isak back soon. Not soon, but like end of the month, beginning of February. So that's only an upgrade. This 4 position is going to be a dogfight. But I got to kind of give it to Manchester United. I just don't see enough. And I don't see enough with Tottenham, and Liverpool just keeps dropping points left and right.
That's kind of where I figured you were going to say, and I agree with you. I think Arsenal and Man City stay, hopefully in that order. I think Newcastle is very good. However, one thing that you have to you have to think about just going off your gut feeling. I'm going to say a team's name, and you tell me if their season's been good or bad.
Yeah.
Newcastle United.
Good.
Manchester United. See? Equal on points. Right now, they're equal on points, and it's because Newcastle draws a lot. Now, Newcastle's a very good team. Newcastle has drawn Arsenal, and they have drawn Man City.
Yep.
I am not saying that Newcastle is going to go down. However, I do think that it's a possibility that they falter a bit.
Yeah.
And that Man United and either Tottenham or Liverpool are able to take over that last spot.
Now let's see what the rest of their fixtures look like. They play Leicester Tuesday, the 10th. They play Fulham the 15th.
And then they got 2 what should be easy matches.
And then Crystal Palace and West Ham. Bournemouth, Liverpool.
I mean, we're right now, we're pretty much halfway through the season. The way the season's split up, you've played pretty much everyone once, apart from fixture changes. You got to play everyone again. Mm-hmm. They'll have Man City and Arsenal at home for the second half of the season.
No, they're playing Man City away.
I thought they already played Man City away.
I'm looking at it right now.
You are right. Okay.
They play Newcastle. They play Newcastle. They play Liverpool and Brighton at home.
I think it comes down to who spends the most.
They got a ton of money, so.
All right, moving on to the bottom half of the table, real quick, rapid fire. 3 teams that are going down. Who are they?
Southampton, because they literally just lost to Forest. Everton. God, the third one is always so hard. I'm still sticking with the Wolves. Yeah, I'm going to say exactly how it is right now. I'm not saying that's how it's going to stay the rest of the season. Yeah. Like they're not going to – it'll flip-flop interchange.
Not in that order, but yes.
Match day – well, I'm saying like even somebody might drop in, drop out.
Well, but I don't –
at match day 38, at the end of the year, that's it right there.
Okay, 2 points separate 13th from 18th. Plenty of teams are going to drop in and drop out. I think that's a given. Southampton, Everton, and West Ham if they keep Moyes. They get rid of Moyes and get someone else in there than Bournemouth. I am not on the West Ham train.
I don't.
They are not good.
I don't get.
I can't believe that right now we're looking at Everton and West Ham possibly going down in the same season.
That would be bonkers.
Imagine West Ham playing in the championship with that enormous stadium they have.
Oh, so many people, so many empty seats.
Holy crap. Anyway.
Who's going to see their bubbles?
Oh, plenty of people in the championship. Anyway, that has been Swinging at Shins. A bit of a disjointed episode, but hey, the match days come this fast. What are you supposed to do? Aaron, you have anything you want to plug?
The Villa. If you come check me out, we talk a bunch about the Villa. Been a little slacky lately, but hopefully something either tomorrow or Friday will drop for the last 3 matches that Villa have played. So check us out there at Wicked Good Sports. And then you could find that man also having his own podcast, which he had earlier referenced to with Way West Stands on the Wicked Good Sport as well.
Yep, you guys can find links for the description of all of that below. On top of that, you can catch us at the Beer Garden in Albany if you guys are ever in town. If you're in town and a Arsenal fan, please stop by. I got the Albany Gooners now in. Wicked Good Sports and Swinging at Shins, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're everywhere. Chris and Brian just did a great video about how the Bruins just won the Winter Classic over the Penguins. Best third period team in the league. Honestly, kind of boring game for most of it. I'm going to be honest, and I say that as someone who had a team in it, but it ended very interestingly. It was a great third period, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find us. If you guys are still around, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys. Well, guys, that was an episode of Swinging at Shins. We appreciate you for coming out and listening to us. If you guys want to hear or see more, we have links in the description below. We hope to hear from you soon and hear more about what you have to say.